When the bridge collapsed, one name was announced before the dust even settled. And just like that, a hero became a villain without saying a single word in his defense. It was the kind of story that seems simple at first glance. A mistake, a consequence, a clear person to blame. But the truth is rarely that straightforward. Today, we're diving into the story of Michael, the man who sacrificed his entire life for a secret he was determined to keep. The bridge was a lifeline connecting to bustling roadside markets. It was built fast, used heavily, and trusted completely by the thousands who crossed it every day. It was a symbol of progress, of connection, and Michael was the safety officer assigned to that project. He was the kind of guy who didn't seek the spotlight, quiet, methodical, and never dramatic. His job was to ensure that the symbol of progress was also a symbol of safety. But one morning, during the early rush of traffic, the unthinkable happened. The bridge failed. Concrete and steel gave way, and the symbol of connection became a scene of chaos. Panic spread like wildfire. Miraculously, no lives were lost, but the public's trust was shattered. The outrage was instant, a tidal wave of fear and anger demanding answers. Who was responsible for this catastrophic failure? In the frantic search for a culprit, officials needed an answer, and they needed it fast. The public demanded a name, a face to pin their anger on. And in the chaos, Michael's name was handed over. He was brought before a panel, the weight of a city's fury on his shoulders. The cameras flashed, microphones were thrust in his face. He was asked one simple, devastating question. Did you approve the final inspection? And with the world watching, Michael answered, yes. That was all, 2 syllables that sealed his fate. He explained that he had raised serious concerns about the materials and construction timeline weeks earlier. He didn't mention the immense pressure he was under to push the project through ahead of schedule. He didn't name anyone else. He simply accepted the verdict. That single word was his confession. The consequences were immediate and brutal. His professional license, the credential he had worked his entire life for, was revoked. His career, built on a foundation of trust and integrity, collapsed overnight. Friends who had once clapped him on the back stopped calling. His name became synonymous with failure, with negligence. If you've ever been judged without being fully heard, without a chance to tell your side of the story, tap that like button. It's a feeling of complete powerlessness. Michael disappeared from public life. He took up manual labor jobs, far from the city, far from the whispers and the pointing fingers. But even there, his past followed him. People would recognize him from old news clips, their eyes widening with a flicker of recognition. Isn't that the bridge man? They'd mutter to each other. He heard them, and he never corrected them. He let them believe the story they'd been told. Back at his small, quiet home, hidden away from the world, he kept one single folder. It was thick with documents, filled with inspection reports he had meticulously compiled. On the top of each page, in bold red ink, was a single word he had stamped himself, rejected. These were the records of his warnings, the proof of his diligence, the evidence of his innocence. He never showed them to anyone. Why? Why would a man let his life be destroyed when he held the key to his own freedom? The answer was as simple as it was profound, because telling the truth, his truth, would completely destroy someone else. A colleague, a superior, someone with everything to lose. Years passed. The story of the collapsed bridge faded from the headlines, replaced by new scandals and new dramas. Michael's name was just a footnote in the city's history. Then, something unexpected happened. During a completely unrelated court case, a junior engineer who had worked on the bridge project was called to testify. She was nervous, her hands trembling as she took the oath. As the questions continued, something inside her broke. The weight of her own silence became too much to bear, and under oath, she broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she revealed the truth she had carried for years. She confessed that on the bridge project, the final approval had been forced through. A senior official, a powerful figure whose name had never once appeared in any public report, had been behind it all. She recounted the heated meeting, the threats, the intimidation. Michael had been given a cruel ultimatum: sign the approval or lose your job and be blacklisted from the industry forever. He had a family to support. He was cornered, so he signed. And in that moment, he made a choice. He chose to carry the blame alone, to become the scapegoat to protect another. If this reveal changes everything for you, if you see Michael in a new light, hit that like button. The truth finally surfaced, but not with a bang. It came out quietly, buried in court transcripts and legal documents. There were no new headlines screaming Michael is innocent. There was no apology tour from the city officials. His life had been derailed, his reputation ruined, and the correction was just a whisper. Eventually, Michael's license was restored, but it was years too late. The prime of his career was gone. When a local reporter finally tracked him down and asked the question everyone wanted to know: why did you stay silent for so long? His answer was heartbreakingly selfless. He said, someone had a family who would not survive the truth. Mine could. Michael returned to work. He wasn't celebrated as a hero. He wasn't famous. There was no grand ceremony to honor his sacrifice. He just went back to being what he always was, an honest man doing his job, quietly and methodically. His story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest acts of integrity, the most profound displays of character, happen in silence, away from the spotlight. True heroism isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet choice to do the right thing, no matter the cost. Thank you for watching. If you appreciate stories where doing the right thing doesn't look heroic until the very end, make sure to subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.